don't think we made the film with any conscious effort of carrying the torch for Doctor Who. It was literally a fun project over the summer. I've been making films for a number of years before we did the Millennium Trap, and we'd done 2 previous Doctor Who adventures, neither of which were frankly any good. Great for learning the craft of filmmaking, but rubbish to watch.
I think Millennium Trap has such a good reputation because it was a good Doctor Who story. It had everything you needed in it. You could have taken, I think you could have taken the script out from when we did it and given it to Philip Hinchcliffe or Barry Letts, and they did it, and it would have worked just as well. And that's down to the script, which was just, you know, a good, solid Doctor Who romp. It had everything in it that it needed.
What's really good about this film is that it captures the whole essence of Doctor Who. It's got all the ingredients that you would have in a BBC-made Doctor Who film. It's got that sort of tension at the end of each episode. It's got the obviously the Daleks and things, and it's got the Doctor Who solving everything. And I think just the way it's been written and the way it's presented is just very, very true to the normal Doctor Who episodes that we're used to seeing on television, particularly of the older, sort of more traditional sort of Doctor Who things. So I think that's why it's so popular.
Black and white was sort of forced upon us in a way. We had 3 cameras, 2 Super VHS and 1 VHS, which we couldn't line up to give the same colour response. So there was a very sound technical reason why we didn't, because every camera looked slightly different.
I think that largely down to the production values in the script, which started down to Rob and what he could do and what he saw and blah blah. So I think it's basically the structure of it. And the fact that it had good location work, and it had a breadth of vision, and it had a scale of ambition in it that wasn't too ambitious, but not too small. It was just about right.
A lot of the story came from mixing those ingredients that we remember with fondness from our childhood, and so in a way the story sort of evolved naturally from that kind of process. There was also the indication of what locations we'd have available to us. I knew that Fort Nelson would be very accommodating, which gave us a certain amount of military hardware. We also got to film down at the HMS Alliance Submarine Museum on their mock-up nuclear submarine, so I knew we kind of had access to those sorts of locations. So those things going into the mix start to dictate where the story is going to go.
We weren't really trying to reinvent it, I think. We were actually sort of going back and looking at what had been successful in the past, and inevitably, because we did it in black and white eventually, the sort of first 6 years or so. So I don't think we were sort of overstepping the mark by saying we know the way forward. We're saying we know the way back and how good it was, and here's a bit more of it.
It's captured so much of the essence of the original Doctor Who series. I mean, I watched some early ones as a little kid. I'm watching this on reflection on when it's completed. It's just captured the essence of it, I think.
Well, it's been such a hit because of the sheer enthusiasm, of course, of the loony who set it all up.
Nothing had been on for a while. It was in the middle of the huge hiatus, and people were interested in anything happening, whether it was magazine articles or fan stuff, and there were all the other videos and the audio things sort of about at the time. And I think it dealt with things with a great affection, and people recognised that. So it didn't really, you didn't have to worry too much about great expectations and huge production values. You just had to do something with affection, and I think it does do it with affection.
There was a moment, because I'd worked in the Ashcroft Art Centre in Fareham so many times on various different things, and a whole section of the Art Centre had been made into the spaceship with the Daleks, and just popped back from lunch and had a look, and they were shooting a scene, and the lights were pulsing on and off, and there's these 2 Daleks having this conversation in there, and it really creeped me out. It took me back to when I used to watch it when I was little.
I'd done the Doctor Who play the year before, and presumed that would be it.
And when I saw him in Planet of Storms, I thought that's the kind of charisma I need for the Doctor. And happily he agreed to play the role. When
I first read the script for Millennium Trap, it was obviously a different Doctor, because Rob had written it for a generic Doctor. But I remember what struck me was that he didn't have a companion. He was alone. He was on his own. whether that was through choice or circumstance, I don't know. But there was something in the script. I remember this quite clearly. It came out to me that you know, the Doctor in the Millennium Trap is a real outsider.
Oh no, not Unit again. Well, I'm not playing today. Every time they have one little problem, who do they call?
I always liked the 60s serials, particularly the David Whittaker ones, where you did have the Daleks having conversations of sorts. You know, it's always to the point and very much, you know, tied up with the plans they're working on. But if the Daleks are a technologically advanced species, they can't do that just by ranting.
All 2 perimeter patrols. Carl attack group has just passed outer defense perimeter. The Doctor has been identified with them. Unit 9 will engage them at long range. You are ordered to inflict minimum casualties. The Doctor must enter the base, but not suspect a trap. All other...
It's like the Mini or early Penguin paperbacks. It's a classic piece of design. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And on screen and on stage, they are really quite terrifying because they're not anthropomorphic, they haven't got legs, they look alien. To work with, they are hilarious. And this is the key thing. No, you know, little sort of, in the theatre it's called the coup de masque. You make a joke and you look at the audience, I'm going to break the rule now, and look at the camera, you go, ha 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 ha. And that kind of look, and no one can do it like a Dalek. Because Daleks, you're just stood there waiting for a shot, chatting away, and one of the Daleks will go. And it's just hilarious. And it then takes half an hour before we can do the shot. No one can do it like a Dalek can. They're the best at put-downs, never invite one to a cocktail party.
But you do feel they've got their own little characters and things. And particularly when I had to actually play a Dalek once, which was horrendous because boys can do Dalek voices, girls don't do Dalek voices. And you could probably hear each time I did a Dalek voice because it's sort of slightly higher and I don't quite know what to do, but I was just told you had to keep going up at the end of the sentence, and I've made a real pig's ear of that. So it's quite interesting sort of actually having to look at that because that's something I would never ever have considered.
For me, shooting the scenes in the quarry, yes, that took it to real Doctor Who land, absolutely, and it was really good fun. But I mean, it really looks good on the final film, but it brought some really interesting challenges for the filming day, so it was fun.
I didn't even know we got a quarry quite close to us where we were going to be able to film, and it seemed that it was a perfect place to be anyway. And just that general moving around and getting sort of covered in all the dust and things, and the awkwardness of walking on all the stones and things like that, you felt that you were actually having a real sort of experience of being in an alien landscape, I suppose.
The thing about working in a quarry these days would be you'd be thinking every other step, insurance.
Trying to stay upright, mainly.
You know, one step this way, one step that could be a big insurance bill.
Hitting your mark and not breaking your neck, basically.
You'd be put there in your suit, lifted in by a cherry picker, not allowed to move, stay there, don't move, it's not in your contract. So, you know, it's great. It takes you back to the first days of television when you're there with some sticking plaster and a bit of plasticine and somebody's dog from next door and you're making Ben-Hur.
We heard the news early that morning that Princess Diana had died. That is totally tied intrinsically with whenever I think of it, for me. Because I remember, you know, the news was fresh out and we all arrived at the quarry and it was hard to actually focus on what we were there for. I mean, eventually we had to just put that in a box, put that to one side and carry on with what we had to do. But I remember when we all first arrived, everyone was absolutely shell-shocked. I'll never forget that.
I got a phone call from Nick saying, have you seen the magazine this month? And there was a whole article about Homemade Who, and Ashley's Devious was on there as well. And it had made the shortlist. Millennium Trap had made the shortlist of the final ones that they'd watched through and ended up being the most highly rated of the lot, which came as a major surprise.
It was just very exciting to be filming Doctor Who because it felt like real proper Doctor Who because we were filming it and we were in a quarry and there were Daleks there and we were rushing around and there was Land Rovers with unit troops coming out. It doesn't get much more Doctor Who-ish than that, really.